arrived at 6:45 in the morning, same as always. 5 years of opening that store, and I had never been late once. Not a single day. The air was still cool and the street was quiet. A few vegetable sellers were arranging their stalls nearby. I remember thinking it was going to be a normal Tuesday. I slid my key into the lock and turned it. Nothing. I tried again. Still nothing. I pulled the key out and looked at it, confused. Then I noticed the lock itself. It was new. Shiny. Different from the one I had used for 5 years. Through the glass door I could see the inside of the store. Our family store, the one my father built from a small room in the market to a proper shop on the main road. And I could see my brother Aaron standing at the counter counting cash. He was wearing a new shirt. He looked comfortable, like he owned the place. He saw me too. He walked to the door slowly, unlocked it from inside, and stepped out onto the pavement. He looked at me the way you look at someone you feel sorry for but not really. "You don't work here anymore," he said quietly. Dad agreed. Customers passing by turned to look. My chest tightened. I didn't shout. I didn't argue. I just nodded, turned around and walked away. But as I left, I noticed something. The pricing board on the wall. The digital one with the color-coded categories. I built that system myself from scratch. He was using it like it was always his. I walked home slowly. Part of me hoped there was a misunderstanding, that maybe Aaron had acted alone, that my parents didn't know. I kept playing the conversation over and over in my head. "You don't work here anymore." Dad agreed. Those 6 words kept bouncing around like something stuck in a jar. When I got home, my mother was in the kitchen. My father was sitting at the dining table reading a newspaper. I stood in the doorway and told them what happened. My mother didn't look surprised. My father folded his newspaper carefully. "Aaron is the eldest," my father said. "It is his responsibility now. He should be the one leading." I asked about everything I had done. The accounts, the suppliers, the delivery service I spent 8 months building. My mother said, "You helped. That's what family does." Like my 5 years were just helping. Like I was just passing time. I sat in my room later, staring at the ceiling, and I understood. This wasn't a sudden decision. The new lock didn't happen overnight. Someone had to go to a shop, buy a new lock and have it fitted. That takes planning. This had been arranged quietly, without me. Then, almost without thinking, I opened my laptop. I went to the store's online management system, the one I had set up 2 years ago. I typed in my username and password. I was still the admin. I want you to understand what I actually did for that store because my family made it sound like I just helped here and there. Let me tell you the truth. When I joined the store 5 years ago, it was losing money. My father was buying stock without tracking what sold and what didn't. He was paying 3 different suppliers different prices for the same items. There was no system. There were no records. I built the inventory system from scratch. I created spreadsheets that tracked everything. What came in, what went out, what expired, what sold fastest. Found better suppliers. I negotiated prices down. I set up an online ordering service that brought in customers from neighborhoods we couldn't even reach before. Aaron was there too. He smiled at customers. He cracked jokes. He made people feel welcome, and I will give him that because he is genuinely good at it. But the engine running underneath all of that, the thing that made the store actually profitable, that was me. 3 months after Aaron took over, the main supplier, Mr. Okafor, called my personal number. He was confused about a new order that had been placed. The quantities were wrong. The item codes didn't match our usual stock pattern. I listened carefully. He asked if I could fix it. I told him I no longer worked at the store. Then I stayed quiet. I didn't correct the order. The following week, Aaron ran a promotion. Buy 2 bags of rice, get a small bottle of cooking oil free. On the surface it sounded fine. But I knew something he didn't. The oil supplier had increased their wholesale price 2 weeks earlier. I had received the notification email because I was still on their mailing list. Aaron hadn't accounted for the new price. He was giving away oil at a loss. Customers came in excited. Some bought more than they needed just to get the free oil. The store looked busy. Aaron posted a photo on his personal page saying business was booming. But the numbers behind that busy day were quietly bleeding. By Thursday, customers started complaining that the promotion had ended too suddenly. Aaron blamed the staff for miscommunicating the terms. 2 workers got shouted at for something that wasn't their fault. On Friday, Mr. Okafor called Aaron directly about the incorrect order. He explained that prices had changed. Aaron apparently argued with him for 20 minutes before accepting the new rates. When I heard this from one of the delivery riders who still texted me occasionally, I felt no satisfaction. I just felt tired. That evening, sitting at my kitchen table, I opened a fresh browser window. I searched how to register a business name. I found the steps, read through them carefully and saved the page. Aaron loves an audience. He always has. When we were children, he would retell stories about himself in a way that made him sound better each time. By the 3rd telling, he was always the hero. So when he removed me from the store, he didn't do it quietly. He told people, neighbors, other traders in the market. He even mentioned it in a group chat for local business owners, saying he had streamlined operations and was taking the business in a new direction. Some people congratulated him. Few sent fire emojis. I wasn't in that group chat, but one of the delivery riders, a young man named Kofi, screenshotted it and sent it to me with a simple message. See this thing your brother posted. Kofi had been working with me since I started the delivery service. He recruited 3 other riders himself. They were reliable, knew the regular customers, and took pride in their work. That same evening he called me. We heard you left, he said. All 4 of us. We wanted to know if you're starting something new. I asked him why it mattered. He said they preferred working with someone who understood how things were supposed to run. Someone who paid on time. Someone who communicated clearly. I was quiet for a moment. Then I said, maybe. After the call, I stared at the window for a long time. That one word felt heavier than I expected. Maybe. My father called me on a Wednesday morning, 3 weeks after the lock incident. I knew from his tone before he even finished his greeting that something had gone wrong. The store had taken a bank loan 2 years earlier to expand, a second storage room and a new refrigerated section for dairy products. I had structured the repayment plan myself. It was tied to the store's monthly profit cycle, meaning the bigger payments came during the slow months when we had saved enough from the busy season. It wasn't complicated, but it required understanding the cash flow. Aaron didn't understand the cash flow. The bank had flagged a missed installment. I listened to him until he finished. Then I asked one question. Dad, did you call Aaron first? Silence. He runs the store now, I said. He should have those records. My father said Aaron couldn't find the documents. I said I was sorry to hear that. I told him the repayment file was saved in the green folder inside the second drawer of the office desk, and that it was also backed up in the online account. I didn't offer anything more. When we hung up, I sat very still. For the first time since the locked door, I didn't feel hurt. Felt something else. Something quieter. The store's rating on the local delivery app dropped from 4.7 to 3.9 within 1 month. I only found out because Kofi mentioned it. He said customers were complaining about late deliveries and wrong items being packed. I wasn't surprised. The packing system I had put in place was simple. Each product category had a specific shelf code. When an order came in online, the staff could match codes quickly without having to search. It reduced packing errors to almost 0. Aaron had rearranged the shelves. He said the old arrangement looked cluttered. He wanted things to look more open and modern. The problem was, he moved things without updating the codes. So when online orders came in, the staff were searching for items that were now in completely different places. When a customer ordered a specific brand of tomato paste and received a different one, they left a 1-star review. When another customer's order arrived missing 2 items, she posted about it publicly. Aaron responded to one bad review by saying the customer was being unreasonable. That response got more attention than the original complaint. Meanwhile, I had politely declined to intervene 2 more times when people connected to the store reached out. Each time I said the same thing. I don't work there anymore. Then I sat back down at my laptop and I kept building. I launched quietly. No announcement. No celebration. Just a simple online storefront with a clean name. My middle name and my mother's maiden name combined into something that felt like mine. I called it Nora and Sons, even though I have no sons. I just liked the sound of it. Felt solid. The inventory was small. I chose 20 products carefully. All of them were fast-moving items I knew people in our area bought regularly. Things like cooking oil, rice, tinned tomatoes, and washing powder. I used one of my saved supplier contacts. Not Mr. Okafor. A different one I had researched months earlier and kept in my notes. My pricing was tight but fair. I wasn't trying to undercut anyone dramatically. I just priced honestly without errors. Within the first 4 days, I had 11 orders. Most of them were from people I didn't know personally. They had found the store through the delivery app. On the 5th day, I received an order from someone whose address I recognized immediately. It was a regular customer from the family store. A woman who ordered every Friday without fail. She had found me without me telling her. I packed her order carefully, double-checked it against the list, and handed it to Kofi for delivery. That evening my phone buzzed. It was Aaron. I know what you're doing. He came to my apartment on a Saturday afternoon. I heard the knock before I saw who it was. Heavy, impatient knocking. Already knew. I opened the door and stepped aside to let him in. He didn't sit down. He stood in the middle of my small living room with his arms crossed, looking around like he was cataloging my things. "You're stealing our customers," he said. I asked him to keep his voice down because my neighbor's baby was sleeping. That made him angrier. "You think this is funny? You're doing this on purpose to embarrass the family." I sat down on the couch and looked at him calmly. "Aaron, you changed the lock. You told the whole market you streamlined operations by removing me. You made this decision. I simply made mine." He said I was being selfish. That family came first. That I was supposed to be loyal. I asked him what loyalty looked like when someone changes your lock without telling you. He didn't have an answer for that. Then he switched tactics. He told me he would report my business to the market association. That he would tell suppliers I was unreliable. That he would damage my name before I had a chance to build it. I nodded slowly and said he was free to do what he wanted. 2 days later, Mr. Okafor, who had apparently been watching everything quietly, posted a short message on the traders group chat recommending Nora and Sons for anyone looking for a well-run online store. He didn't mention Aaron. He didn't need to. The neighborhood started talking. This is how it happened. Not in one loud moment but in many small ones. A woman at the salon mentioned that the family store felt disorganized lately. A man at the barber said he had ordered from a new place and the delivery was faster. Someone in a building WhatsApp group posted a screenshot comparing 2 online stores. Same product, different prices and delivery times. The family store appeared on the left. Nora and Sons appeared on the right. I didn't create that comparison. Someone else did. I found out about it when 3 people sent it to me within the same hour. The comments were honest. People were noticing the difference in how orders were handled. One person wrote, "I don't know what happened over there but something changed." Another wrote, "The new one feels more professional somehow." Aaron saw the post too. I know because Kofi told me Aaron had called him asking who was running marketing for my store. Kofi told him no one. That it was just running well. That same day my father opened the post on his phone. I don't know how he found it. Someone probably sent it to him. But Kofi was making a delivery nearby and saw my father standing outside the family store, holding his phone with both hands, staring at the screen. He stood there for a long time. At the end of the 2nd month, my father sat down with the store accounts properly. I think Aaron had been giving him short summaries, general numbers without the details. But something made my father go deeper this time, maybe the bank warning, maybe the comparison post, maybe just a feeling. What he found was not good. The profit margin had dropped from 22% to 9%. Some of that was natural, Losing regular customers hurt. But a large part of it was Aaron's decisions. He had increased prices on fast-moving items to cover the losses from the botched promotion. But increasing prices on the things people buy most often is exactly how you push customers away permanently, not temporarily. Aaron had also been ordering excess stock of certain items he personally liked. Imported biscuits, flavored water, things that sat on the shelf and gathered dust while the basics ran low. My father called Aaron in to discuss the numbers. I wasn't there, but my mother told me later that it was a difficult conversation. Aaron blamed the economy. He blamed the delivery riders. He blamed the customers for being disloyal. He did not once say he had made mistakes. Meanwhile, the store's landlord had quietly scheduled a rent review meeting. The lease was due for renewal. In good times that would have been a formality. But the landlord had been watching too. I found a small space on the other side of town. It was nothing impressive. A single room in a row of low shops, with a back area just big enough for storage. The walls needed painting. The floor had old tiles that were clean but cracked in places. I liked it. I signed a 1-year lease on a Thursday morning and spent the weekend cleaning it myself. I wasn't in a rush to make it look grand. I just wanted it functional. Smart shelving. Clear labeling. A small desk near the back where I could process orders and keep accounts. Simple. Clean. The week after I moved stock in, 2 former staff members from the family store came to see me. Their names were Amma and Felix. They had both been let go when Aaron reduced staff in one of his cost-cutting moments. They were quiet, hard-working people who knew the products well and were good with customers. They asked if there was space for them. I told them what I could pay. It wasn't much yet, but it was honest. I told them there would be no shouting, no blaming, and no surprises. What I said I would do, I would do. They both started the following Monday. Aaron found out 2 days later. He called Felix and told him he was making a mistake. Felix thanked him for his concern and hung up. Then Aaron fired the last 3 remaining experienced staff members in what I can only describe as a panic. The shipment collapse happened on a Friday, which is the worst possible day for a retail store. Fridays are the busiest. Families are shopping for the weekend. Office workers stop in on their way home. It is the one day you absolutely cannot afford empty shelves. The major shipment that was supposed to arrive Thursday evening didn't come. The supplier had sent a notice 2 weeks earlier about outstanding balances. The notice went to the store's email, which Aaron rarely checked because he preferred phone calls. The balance wasn't paid. The supplier held the delivery. By Friday afternoon, 3 of the store's most important shelves were half empty. Cooking oil gone. Bagged rice. Only 2 bags left. Flour, completely finished. Customers walked in, looked around, and walked back out. Some of them pulled out their phones and placed orders online instead. 2 of those orders came to Nora and Sons. A woman who had been a loyal customer of the family store for many years stood at the nearly empty shelf and said loudly to no one in particular, "What happened to this place?" No one answered her. That evening, my father sat across from Aaron in the back office and asked a question he had never asked before. Not in 5 years of watching me work, not once. What exactly did she do for the store? The question hung in the air. Aaron didn't answer immediately. I think my father expected a short conversation. He called me the following morning and asked if I could come by the house. Not the store. The house. I brought a folder. Not to show off, I had kept those records for myself, the way you keep evidence of your own life when you sense it might be questioned one day. I laid them out on the dining table one by one. Growth charts from the first year I restructured the inventory. Revenue comparisons before and after the delivery service launched. A printed copy of the supplier discount agreements I had negotiated, showing exactly how much the store saved each year. The online order statistics, month by month. And at the back, the loan repayment schedule, color-coded, with every installment marked. My father was quiet for a very long time. He turned the pages slowly, reading carefully. He stopped at the revenue comparison page and looked at it for a full minute without speaking. I didn't fill the silence. I let him sit with it. At some point I heard movement by the hallway door. I looked up. Aaron was standing there. He had come home without me noticing. He was looking at the documents spread across the table with an expression I had never seen on his face before. Not anger. Not defensiveness. Something closer to shock. Aaron came up with the discount campaign idea on his own. I heard about it through Kofi, who still made deliveries for both businesses at the time and sometimes shared what he observed without me asking. Aaron was offering 30% off on everything for one weekend. He printed flyers and paid someone to distribute them in the market. He also boosted a post on social media, spending more on that single post than I had spent on marketing in 2 months. The weekend crowds came. The store was busy. Aaron took photos and videos and posted them. But 30% off means you need very strong margins to survive it. The family store's margins were already at 9%, and that was before the discount campaign. The math was painful. When I heard the details, I didn't feel victorious. I actually felt a quiet, dull worry. Not for Aaron, for my father. He had built that store over many years. He had carried heavy loads, negotiated in markets before I was old enough to understand what negotiating meant, and saved carefully to buy that property. The store wasn't just a business to him. It was his name. The Monday after the weekend campaign, the bank sent a formal letter. Not a phone call this time. Letter. With the word warning printed clearly at the top. My father didn't show me the letter. But my mother described his face when he read it. The opening of my physical store was not a grand event. I didn't hire a DJ. I didn't put up a big banner or order a cake shaped like a shopping bag. I simply unlocked the door at 8 o'clock in the morning, placed fresh stock on the shelves, and stood at the counter ready. Word had spread quietly through Kofi and Amma and Felix and the online customers who had been ordering for months. By 9 o'clock, there were 8 people in the store. By noon, I had to restock the oil section. Some faces I recognized. Regular customers from the old neighborhood who had been ordering online and now wanted to see the physical space. They came in, looked around, and seemed satisfied by the order of it. The clear labels. The correct prices displayed. The friendly greeting from Amma near the entrance. A woman who used to buy rice from the family store every 2 weeks came in around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. She looked around for a while, bought a few things and said quietly before leaving, "You should have done this a long time ago." Thanked her. At 4:30, I was reorganizing the back storage when Felix came to tell me someone was outside waiting. It was my mother. She hadn't told me she was coming. She stood outside the door for a moment, looking at the storefront, at the name, at the arrangement. Then she came in slowly and walked through every aisle. She bought a small bottle of cooking oil and left without saying much. But she came. The comparison started circulating more widely in the 3rd week after my store opened. This time it wasn't just a WhatsApp screenshot. A local blogger who covered small businesses in our area wrote a piece. She had visited both stores separately without announcing herself. The article wasn't unkind to the family store, but it was honest. She described the shelves, the service, the prices, the waiting time at the counter. Then she described Nora and Sons. The contrast was clear in every paragraph without her having to say it directly. She wrote that Nora and Sons felt like it was run by someone who had thought carefully about every detail. She said she asked the woman at the entrance how long the store had been open, and when Amma said 3 weeks, the blogger said she was surprised. Felt established, she wrote. Like it had been there for years. I read the article twice. The second time I noticed she had linked to our online store at the bottom. Orders spiked that evening. Aaron saw the article. Of course he did. He left a comment underneath it. He wrote that the article was unfair and one-sided, and that some people built their businesses by riding on the back of family work without giving credit. The comment got 34 replies. Not one of them agreed with him. He deleted the comment 6 hours later, but by then it had been screenshotted. The account freeze lasted 4 days. The bank flagged 2 supplier contracts that had been signed with incorrect business registration details. Aaron had signed them using an old version of the store's registration certificate, one that had been updated when my father renewed the license the previous year. It was a clerical error, but in banking terms, it created a compliance issue. During those 4 days, the store could not process card payments. Cash only. And because people had become used to paying by card, several customers turned around at the entrance and left. I know all of this because Mr. Okafor called me. Not to ask for help. Just to tell me what was happening, the way someone tells you news about a mutual acquaintance. He had worked with our family store for 3 years. He was not unkind about it. He just spoke plainly. He told me Aaron had called him in a panic during the freeze, asking if Okafor could write a letter to the bank confirming the business relationship. Mr. Okafor said he asked Aaron a simple question first. Where was the updated registration document? Aaron didn't know. It was in the green folder. Same drawer. Same place I had told my father about weeks earlier. When my father found it and submitted it to the bank, the freeze was lifted. But the 4 days had done damage. And my father looked at Aaron that evening with an expression no son wants to see on his father's face. My father came to Nora and Sons on a Tuesday. He didn't call ahead. I was at the back desk going over the week's orders when Felix told me someone was outside asking for me. I walked out and saw him standing near the entrance, hands clasped behind his back, looking at the shelf layout. He was wearing his dark blue shirt, the one he wore when he wanted to appear formal. He turned when he heard me. "You've done well," he said. It was the first kind thing he had said to me since the lock incident. I nodded and thanked him. He walked through the store slowly. He asked a few questions about the supplier, the lease, the delivery numbers. He was back to being the man who had taught me to read inventory. Practical. Focused. Then, near the exit, he stopped and said, without quite looking at me, "The store could benefit from what you know. I was wondering if you would consider coming back." Took a breath. I told him I was grateful that he came, and that I would think about it. He nodded, as if he had expected that answer. What he had not expected was what came next. I told him that any conversation about my involvement would need to include clear terms, written ones, and a defined role, not a favor. Not just helping. A real position with real authority. He was quiet on his way out. That evening, Aaron called my mother and told her he would not accept me being brought back in any capacity. The landlord had been patient. That much I will say. He had sent 2 informal messages before the formal notice appeared. He posted the rent arrears notice on the store's front door on a Thursday morning. It wasn't hidden inside an envelope. It was a printed sheet, visible through the glass. Customers walking past could read it if they slowed down. By noon, someone had photographed it. By 3 o'clock, it was in 3 different WhatsApp groups. My father handled it quietly, going to the landlord directly to explain the situation and make a partial payment. The notice came down by evening. But the photograph had already spread. Reputation is strange. Takes years to build and hours to damage. The family store had operated for over a decade with a solid name. People trusted it. But trust, once it starts to crack, doesn't make a loud sound. It just quietly walks out the door the same way a customer does when they see empty shelves or a notice on the glass. Aaron, to his credit, did not post anything that day. He stayed silent online for the first time in months. My mother called me that evening. She didn't say much. She just asked how the store was doing. I told her it was doing well. She said, "That's good." Then after a long pause, "Your father has called a family meeting." The meeting was held at the house on a Saturday afternoon. My father sat at the head of the table. My mother sat beside him. Aaron was across from me. Nobody brought food. Nobody offered tea. It was that kind of meeting. My father placed the store's financial documents on the table. 2 years of accounts, open for everyone to see. He didn't explain them dramatically. He just laid them out and pointed. The numbers told the story clearly. The period when I managed operations showed steady growth. The period after I was removed showed a sharp, consistent drop. It wasn't complicated to understand. It was just math, laid flat on a wooden table. My father spoke slowly. He said he had made an assumption. He had believed that because Aaron was the eldest, He was the most ready. He said he realized now that readiness had nothing to do with age or position. It had to do with understanding how things actually worked. Then he said something I didn't expect. He said he had assumed I would always stay, regardless of how I was treated. That my loyalty was guaranteed. That no matter what happened, I would not leave. He said he was wrong. Aaron sat quietly through most of it. When he finally spoke, he said the numbers could be explained. That external factors were responsible. That he hadn't been given enough time. There was a pause after Aaron finished speaking. My father looked at me. I had not planned to speak at that point, but something made me. I reached into the folder I had brought and pulled out a single printed page. I explained it calmly. The store's customer loyalty database, the repeat customer system I had built into the online platform, was still registered under my admin access. The system sent automated messages to returning customers. It tracked their ordering habits and triggered personalized promotions during peak periods. It was responsible for approximately 40% of the store's repeat online sales. When I was removed, no one transferred admin access. The system was still running because I had not switched it off. But without my access to update it, it had slowly begun to expire. Promotions were going to the wrong customers. Delivery reminders were firing at incorrect times. The system was degrading quietly in the background. That was why the online numbers had dropped even faster than the in-store numbers. The room was very still. My father looked at Aaron. Aaron looked at the table. My mother looked at me in a way I couldn't fully read, somewhere between pride and sorrow and something else she would probably never say out loud. My father cleared his throat. Then he asked, his voice low and steady, what it would take for me to come back. I had thought about this moment. Not obsessively but honestly. Late at night when the store was quiet and I was updating records or reviewing supplier quotes, I had asked myself, if it came to this, what would I actually want? Not revenge. That had never been my interest. I was not built for it. What happened to the store after I left was the natural result of choices that were made. I didn't arrange it. I didn't interfere. I just stopped holding things up. What I wanted was simple. I told my father I was not coming back as an employee. Not as someone who helped. Not as a background operator with no official position. If I was involved in the family store again, it would be as a partner. Equal standing. Written agreement. Clear responsibilities for both Aaron and me. Put on paper and signed. I would oversee operations, inventory, supplier relationships, and online platforms. Aaron's strengths, the customer relationships, the community presence, the in-person sales energy, those would remain his. We would not overlap. We would not compete inside the same building. And if those terms were not acceptable, then I would continue with Nora and Sons independently, and the family store would need to find its own way forward. My father nodded slowly. Aaron stared at the table. My mother held her hands together in her lap. I placed the written proposal on the table and slid it to the center. Aaron didn't speak for a long time after I finished. I think he had come to that meeting expecting to defend himself, maybe to negotiate, maybe to appeal to family loyalty one more time. But the numbers on the table and the words in that proposal had shifted something. For the first time in the entire months-long process, Aaron wasn't performing for an audience. There was no one to charm. No customers to smile at. No group chat to post in. It was just the four of us, two sets of documents, and a truth that had been waiting patiently for someone to finally look at it directly. He picked up the proposal and read it. He read it properly this time, slowly, to the end. When he put it down, he said two things. First, he said he needed time. A few weeks to step back and let me stabilize the store while he figured out what role actually suited him. Not permanently. Just temporarily while things were restructured. Second, and he said this quietly, almost like he was embarrassed by the sound of his own words. He said he hadn't realized how much was running underneath everything. He said he thought managing a store meant being present and keeping customers happy. He hadn't understood that what he was standing on had already been built. I didn't respond to that. I didn't need to. I just looked at my father and asked when he would like me to start. 6 months later, the family store and Nora and Sons are both open. Nora and Sons operates independently. It has its own accounts, its own supplier contracts, its own growing list of customers. Amma and Felix are still with me. We have added one more staff member, a quiet young man named Bayo who is learning quickly and never arrives late. The store is not yet large, but it is solid. Every number in it is one I understand. The family store is steadier now. The loan repayments are on schedule. The shelves are consistently stocked. The online rating has climbed back to 4.4. Aaron still works there, but in a different way. He handles customer relationships, community events, and in-person sales, which is genuinely where he is strongest. He doesn't touch the accounts or the supplier orders. My father acknowledged my contribution publicly at a small traders gathering in our area. He didn't give a long speech. He just introduced me as the person who built the foundation of his store. It was 8 words and it was enough. Aaron and I are not close. We are careful with each other, the way people are when they have said things that cannot be unsaid. But there is no open war. He is quieter now. Not broken, humbled. There is a difference. I never broke the locked door. I never demanded anyone open it for me. I just built a better one with my own hands on my own ground. And when people finally came looking, they knew exactly where to find.